is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we have Listener Encounters Volume 11. Yay! I'm able to do another one, even though I just put one out last week. This first one comes from subscriber and friend of the channel, Shannon, and she says, "Hi, Gemma. Oddly enough, I was camping and trying to get on Wi-Fi to inform my 20-year-old daughter we've made it, and Steve and your live came on over my notifications and I clicked on it. After your live, the Wi-Fi went dead. I'm camping after all, but I believe in signs, and this told me to tell you my story. I met my husband in 1999, and after 8 weeks of dating, we married. We had 2 beautiful daughters and an up and down 12-year marriage, although mainly very good. He was adventurous, and that's why I loved him. He had a son and daughter from a previous marriage, and I had a daughter from my previous marriage. Combined, we now had 5, and eventually added a puppy to the picture. Her name was Girl, and she's very important to the story. Every other weekend, we camped, hiked, beached, spelunking, scuba, or snorkeling. We showed our children there's more to life than being stuck to a computer or phone. Those are now highly cherished moments for all of us. As our 2 older children reached driving age, family weekends became farther apart, but we still found time for family gatherings. My husband always talked about wanting to get a motorcycle. He had one growing up, so that became his and his son's new passion. They both bought one in June of 2011. I never stop anyone from doing what they want. Even today as I write this, my girls and I are out 4-wheeling right now. The moment my husband rolled into the driveway with the motorcycle, our dog, Girl, was acting oddly strange. She was his dog, followed him everywhere. It was a few weeks before I started noticing her acting strangely. Very busy household with kids, sports, etc. One afternoon, I sat on her couch and Girl jumped up and laid next to me. I looked at my husband, then her, and gave him the "what the hell" look. She had never done that in 5 years, and I mean never. We shrugged it off, but as the days and weeks went by, she was constantly by my side, and I finally told my husband, "I'm sick. I must be sick." He thought I was crazy. I said, "Dogs can sense sickness, and she's been acting very clingy." He shrugged it off, but I made an appointment for a full physical, blood work and all, just to put my mind at ease. All tests came back healthy as a horse. Phew. She was still clingy, though. "Well, I'll just enjoy her attention," I said. About late September, in the middle of the night, I was awoken by 3 wall-shaking knocks, and it scared the hell out of me. Girl jumped up on my side of the bed, growled, and we just listened. My husband was sound asleep, and I had to wake him, shake him awake. "Didn't you hear or feel that?" "Nope, go back to bed." The clock said 3:33 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep, so I made a cup of coffee and started my day early. Fall was around the corner, and in Georgia, the mornings are chilly but sweltering in the afternoon. I had a Monday off, so the hubs and I took a day trip on the motorcycle while the kids were in school and hit the Georgia mountain roads. What a gloriously beautiful day we had. Lunch riverside, leaves changing colors, roads open and empty, and just the 2 of us enjoying us. We returned home around 2:30 p.m. and there was Girl sitting patiently waiting for us and the kids to get home. The next few days, when I or my husband would leave, Girl would chase us down the driveway, deliberately getting in the way of our vehicles so we couldn't go. Odd. Just odd. Friday, October 21st, as I was getting in my Jeep for work, Girl jumped into my driver's side and wouldn't get out. My husband had to drag her out. I kissed and hugged both of them goodbye. My husband called before he got on his motorcycle to go to work and said he had put Girl in the laundry room. She wouldn't let him leave. I said, "Okay, I'll come home for lunch around 11 and I'll let her out." We said our I love yous and began our work days. At 1:30 p.m. that afternoon, I received a call from our concierge desk that I had 2 visitors. I'm a meeting planner, so I had clients pop in a lot. After I hung up, they called directly back and whispered, "They asked for you by your married name." I use my maiden name at work. None of my clients knew my legally married name, and only a handful of team members even knew it. I walked down the stairs from the office. Our offices overlook the main lobby and entrance, and as I was descending, I looked over the railing and saw a sheriff's deputy and a plainclothes officer with a badge around his neck. Must be scouting out the place for their holiday dinner, I thought. I just toured firemen and EMS workers a few days ago to look at our small banquet rooms. I reached the desk, held my hand out to introduce myself, and then put my hand up to my name badge and said, "I go by my maiden name at work." Oddly, they asked me to verify my home address. I did, and they asked if we can go someplace to talk. My first thought was, oh shit, who in my family was arrested? I walked us to a back hallway where no meetings were taking place and tucked us into a phone bank. The sheriff stooped at the entrance and maintained a no-entry lookout stance, and the plainclothes officer asked me to have a seat. Still confused, I sat. He looked me in the eyes, grabbed my hands, and began with, "I'm sorry to inform you that your husband has been killed in a motorcycle accident this morning." Well, you can only imagine the guttural shriek that came out of me. I looked over at the sheriff in the doorway, and he lowered his head, and the plainclothes officer reached out and held me as I pounded his chest, and he kept me from crumbling to the floor. My life had just ended in one sentence. In minutes, the hallway was packed with my coworkers because my shriek echoed through the long hallways, and the sheriff was having a hard time holding everyone back from getting to me. My GM, SM, a Dear AV tech friend, plus the officers whisked me away into an office, and they went on to explain to me how it had happened. A driver took an illegal left-hand turn at a red light as my husband had the green going 60 miles per hour. He didn't have a chance. He died instantly, 30 minutes after we said I love you. At 9:30 a.m., he was pronounced dead. As you can imagine, my head blurred, then snapped back saying, "Oh my God, how do I tell my children their father just died? How do I tell his parents? How do I go on?" The first call was to my mom/dad, which in turn she called my sisters and brothers, and the phone call chain began. My mom lived in Florida and was going to make the 8-hour drive up ASAP. My dad had stage 4 lung cancer and couldn't come. My sister was flying in from California, one from New York, and my brother from North Carolina. The plainclothes officer with an escort from the sheriff drove me to our daughter's elementary school. The saddest part of this is they went to the school because my neighbors didn't know where I worked, but knew our daughters went to the elementary school. They went to find my personal information and to inform them of what happened, so all the teachers knew all day that my daughter's life would change as soon as we pulled up. How do you tell a 5 and 10-year-old that their dad isn't coming home? We pulled in, and the hallway was lined with teachers, all with tear-stained cheeks. They adored my girls, and their hearts were just shattered for them. The rest of the afternoon was chaotic with people coming over, in and out. I couldn't even think straight. My mom showed up at 9 p.m. exhausted from her drive, but her strength showed through. After everyone was starting to leave, I gave my stepson his dad's phone, which was very badly cracked, to hook up so we can use the computer to contact his friends. At that time, I poured a tall glass of Crown straight and went out to sit on the deck, drink and smoke, and my phone rang from an unknown number. I didn't answer, and then it rang again. Same thing. I didn't answer, it rang again. Same thing. This time I answered, and it was all crazy static, and I swore I heard through the crackling, "I love you." Then the line went dead. A few moments later, my mom came out to the deck and said she had to tell me something, that my husband's phone rang while his son was downloading the address book, but the caller had my husband's name calling. She said he was showing him a sign. I said, "Mom, he just called me too." That first night was the worst night, and girl didn't miss a beat. She jumped up on my husband's side of the bed, put her head on his pillow, stretched out, turned her head to me and licked my nose, put her head down, and we just looked at each other for a long time. She knew. She knew the moment he pulled into the driveway with the motorcycle. She knew. She knew those 3 knocks that death was calling. She knew. She had been getting me ready for this day since June and trying her best to block us from leaving that beautiful chilly blue sky fall morning. She knew. She never left my side until the day she crossed over the Rainbow Bridge. Since my husband's passing, he shows up as a beautiful black and blue butterfly at every major event in our daughter's life. The morning girl passed onto the Rainbow Bridge, the black and blue butterfly, him, came to get girl, and as soon as she passed, a bright yellow butterfly showed up and they left together. You see, girl was a blonde. Thank you for letting me share, Gemma. Shannon. It took me a few edits to get through that. Thank you so much for sharing that part of yourself with us, with me, and trusting me with it. I don't know what to say other than I'm so incredibly sorry that you had to go through that and your children had to go through that. I believe everything you said. I do believe that the deceased, especially the recently deceased, can make phone calls. Just the little staticky ones though. I think especially when someone passes from something that's so unexpected, right? It wasn't a long illness. He had an accident. That they somehow get permission to do this one last thing. And I've got to find another video where I've said this, because I know I've mentioned this before, either in a live stream or whatever. I had a best friend in the whole world, and he was so much older than me that I would call him my godfather. He passed in April of 2019, and I would use a lot when I was with him, and I would always tell him, you know, you're going to outlast us all, but don't worry, when I die. You know, he was in his 70s and I was in my 30s. I've known him since my early 20s. I would say, when I die, I'll send you a blue butterfly. And ever since he passed away, his name was Steve, I see blue butterflies like every time I'm upset. I even had one land on my front bay window of my kitchen. So the butterfly thing actually kind of struck me too. I definitely believe in that. I believe that. And definitely, too, believe that girl did know what was going on from the very beginning. And it's sad, because if only dogs could talk, right? Shannon, thank you so much. I'm sure that you've done a wonderful job in being there for your family and helping to pick up the pieces. And I hope that, you know, someone was able to help you with that. As you said, your mom and your family kind of gathered around you. So again, I'm sorry for your loss. I believe everything you said 100%. And thanks again. Our next encounter comes from the mom of a friend and subscriber to the channel, our very own Melissa Wiggins, who gave me this beautiful necklace and this gorgeous wicked sign here. So Miss Josie has sent us a strange experience that she had when she was younger, and I'm kind of excited to read it to you guys. When I was 18, my high school sweetheart and I eloped. My parents knew we were getting married, but his parents, they didn't have a clue. My new husband and I purposefully didn't tell his parents because we were so young. My in-laws moved to Iran for a high position with a prominent oil company. Our marriage license was mistakenly mailed to my new in-laws. They found out we were married. My husband and I were scared of their reaction, so we remained quiet about it. By this time, I had joined Mike, my husband, in Berlin, Germany, where he was serving in the United States Army. The deception weighed heavily on my mind. Mike was doing well in the Army, and I knew his parents would be so proud of him. It was still weighing on my mind. I was compelled to send them a letter to try and make amends to my new family. I felt that God had put this task on my heart, but I was reluctant to write for fear of rejection. I went to the post office to find out how to get a letter to Iran. I was told that the letter would have to go to the United States first and be sent from there. I felt like I had an easy out to avoid repercussions from my in-laws. Besides, it would cost 80 cents for the first leg of the journey. This was 1968, and postage was 5 cents, as I recall. So, with the high cost of postage, I felt confident that my silence was the best route, and with a heavy conscience, I dismissed the idea of the letter. 2 weeks later, I was in the storeroom of the place where I worked. I saw a piece of white and black paper in the middle of the floor. I picked it up, and to my astonishment, I realized it was an 80-cent stamp. I didn't even know that stamp existed. I felt like God was guiding me to do the right thing and assuring me that He is real. I wrote a nice letter to the folks, and communication was established with Mike's family. They even came by for a visit on their way back to the United States. I felt closer to God than I ever had, and I was happy with my new family. Gemma, I've lived a long time, but I hold this memory dear as the time God had a message for me. An 80-cent stamp? Who'da thunk? Josie. Miss Josie, I definitely believe in synchronicity, you know, the fates aligning and coming together. And I also believe God does things like perhaps creates 80-cent stamps for us. I think I'm going to use that from now on. When a little miracle happens in my life, I'm going to call it my 80 cents stamp. So thank you so much for sharing that really cute story. No, it's not scary, but not all of these stories are. They're just about, you know, could this be coincidence or was it something supernatural? Thank you. If you have any other stories, please let me know. Send them on in. And also, it's so nice to meet you. I always love when the moms of my subscribers reach out, because my mom is normally in at least my Wednesday night live stream. And she's always saying how much she loves everybody in there and they're all so sweet. So Miss Josie, you should come into the Wednesday night live stream or the Sunday night live stream or the Friday night live stream, one of the live streams, and hang out with us. We have Daryl, whose mom, Miss Claire, also comes in, and my mom. So yeah, thank you so much again. So I do have some longer stories that I wasn't able to put in because I wanted some time to go through them. So if you sent me a longer one, then I probably just didn't have a chance to go through it, but I will put it in next week's. So I'm going to put in an older story that I received from Mr. Jason Zorn. And Jason, if you're watching, I just wanted to say hi, and you can reach out, you know. Haven't seen you in a while, and I hope all is well. So this is an extremely true story. To set the stage, so to speak, in the mid-1980s, just south of Frankston, Texas, I decided, yet again, to go into Uncle Booby's land, just to explore around and see if there were any covey of quail hiding out in the tall grass. Not finding any, I decided to go down the trail I'd shot the deer at a couple of months prior and explore along Cato Creek. If you remember in Listener Encounters a few videos back, we talked about the deer. The shadows immediately began to encroach after 10 feet into the trail, and it was oddly silent as I walked forward. I was incredibly stupid then, and the very thought of cryptids never crossed my mind. Shortly before reaching the creek, I came across a bend in the trail, cutting to my right, and in front of me were bushes grown closely together with a tree about 8 inches in diameter and about 30 feet tall, which stood behind the bushes. Suddenly, the tree shook violently, shook like someone was trying to rip it up by the roots, and a deep, guttural growl came from behind the bushes. I know it sounds cliche, but I could literally feel the growl resound through my ribs as the tree shook. Instantly, my shotgun was at my shoulder, pointed towards the bushes in the tree. I couldn't help but hold my breath. Whatever was behind those bushes in front of me had scared the living crap out of me, and it was still there. It was making absolutely no attempt to flee. And something in my head said, "Back away, Jason," very, very slowly. Without turning around, shotgun still at my shoulder, I began walking backwards, back up the trail. The tree stopped shaking and the growling stopped, but I knew that whatever it was that made that growl, it was still there behind those bushes, and it was watching me. I didn't actually turn around until I was almost back in the open field again. I'm not intelligent, but I'm also not stupid, and I know the sounds of all the animals that inhabit the forests of East Texas. And I never heard anything like that in my whole entire life. Jason, thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone else who contributed. To anyone else who sent one in, I'll be emailing you back and letting you know. Most likely it'll be next week. Like I said, if they're longer, I just need a little more time to go through them. If you have any experiences with supernatural and or paranormal, please feel free to email me at gemmajadeparanormal@gmail.com. Guys, please give this video a big thumbs up, not only if you enjoyed spending the time with me, but also for the people who shared their experiences and this part of themselves with us. It's never easy, and not all encounter stories are going to be creepy or scary, because I'm asking for encounters with the supernatural and or paranormal, right? Not scary, creepy encounters. And it's encounters like these that let me know as well that the other side does exist, and some things just can't be explained, and there's a more beautiful side to it as well. So spread the love by sharing this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd be so kind as to check out the description box for some important links, there is the Justice for Caleb Smith, the link to the live stream that we did months ago with April Arrington. We asked her to come back on and do the fireside chat spot on Sunday nights. We're not quite there yet with working it out, but that may happen sometime in the future. She is working on trying to get a billboard to bring awareness to Caleb and Keeslyn Roberts' case. So the link to that GoFundMe will also be in the description box. Also, the live streams, Campfire Stories, fireside chats and the oracle readings that Steve and I do every single week on Fridays, Sundays, and Wednesdays will be in the description box as well. If you want to check one out before you come on in live and maybe just leave a comment and a like, that would be awesome. PayPal and Patreon links for financial donations to the channel, and my Amazon link as requested as well. I love you guys. Be kind to each other, but also be kind to yourselves. It costs nothing to be a kind, nice, decent, generous, grateful person / human being, right? Thanks again for sharing this time with me. Have your best day, have your best night, and I will see you next time. Mwah.